Let's start with a foundational idea. What if reality isn't random? What if it's running on a kind of cosmic software, a fundamental blueprint that governs not just physics, but existence itself? Today, we're examining a framework that proposes exactly that.
So let's just dive right in. The central question here is a big one. Is there a hidden operating system running the universe? A set of core principles and algorithms from which everything we see, everything we experience, actually emerges.
And that brings us to the dual caustic framework. Now, why dual caustic? Well, it suggests there are two primary, incredibly powerful fields, and their interaction, kind of like light focusing through two lenses, is what creates the patterns of our world. This isn't just a metaphor. It's presented as a complete system where everything is generated by these fields, with a crucial third one acting as the mediator.
So what are the building blocks of this cosmic engine? Well, according to this framework, reality is constructed from three very distinct fundamental fields.
First up, we have what's called the light caustic, or L. Think of this as a timeless, unchanging field. It's the source of absolute constraints, the unbendable laws of both physics and metaphysics. It's pure command, eternal truth. It just is.
And in complete contrast to that, you have the sound caustic, S. This is the temporal field. This is where action, thermodynamics, and the flow of time live. So if light is the fixed, static law, sound is the dynamic, flowing process of creation itself, always in motion, just like water.
Now, for the third component, which is maybe the most critical of all, the buffer. It's also known as meson, which means the balance. This is the earth layer. It's the essential interface where the timeless laws of the light caustic can interact safely with the flowing temporal sound caustic. And right there, in that zone, is where consciousness finds its place and choice becomes possible.
And this really highlights just how delicate the whole system is. The light and sound fields are described as orthogonal. They are fundamentally incompatible, existing on totally different planes. If they were to come into direct contact, total annihilation. That's why the buffer isn't just a helpful feature, it is absolutely essential. It's the mediator that prevents reality from collapsing in on itself.
And let's be absolutely clear, the framework is adamant about this point. This isn't some philosophical metaphor or a poetic description. It's presented as operational physics, a literal schematic for how the cosmic engine actually functions.
Okay, so if the three fields are the hardware, what's the software? Let's move to the next layer. The framework proposes two core algorithms that run on this three-field architecture. These protocols govern how everything in existence is filtered and how it's formed. The first algorithm is called the 2-3-7, and it's all about filtration. It starts with step 1, duality. The basic idea that everything, from particles to concepts, comes in pairs. Step 2 is the trial, where these pairs are run through 3 oscillations, like a cosmic stress test. And that brings us to step 3, truth, where the whole process sorts itself out into one of 7 distinct archetypal outcomes. It's essentially a universal sorting mechanism.
The second process is the 3-3-7 formation algorithm. This one's about internal transformation. It kicks off with isolation, where the three fields, fire, water, and earth, interact inside a self-contained system. Then comes patience, a transformation that happens through 3 layers of darkness. Think of it like a seed underground: compression, gestation, and then ejection. And finally, that leads to knowledge, a 7-phase emergence that completes the new creation.
So we've got the architecture and the algorithms. But how do these laws actually play out when they're put under extreme pressure? Let's take a look at a few case studies that really push the system's physics to the limit. Here we see 2 very different kinds of system failure. On one side, you have the people of Lut. Their situation is described as a dual caustic rupture. By directly attacking a divine messenger, they created a short circuit between the divine and material planes. It was such a severe breach of protocol that it triggered immediate, catastrophic system execution. Then you have Pharaoh. His failure was different. It wasn't a sudden rupture, but a systemic corruption. He rejected the field of mercy and action, the water, for a system based only on pride and command, the fire. The result? A much slower collapse, but one that was just as inevitable. This table breaks down exactly how that corrupting pressure is applied. Look at the fire axis. The tactic is to whisper, "You are your own command." That bypasses the system's laws and leads straight to the corruption of pride, with Pharaoh as the archetype. For the water axis, the tactic is twisting desire,
making it a false object of worship, which leads to idolatry. And finally, on the Earth axis, it's the idea that your own lineage, your physical continuation, is sacred. That corrupts the very buffer connecting us to the divine.
So is there a way to reverse this? A counter-equation? The example of Ibrahim is presented as the answer. By completely surrendering his own ego, the destructive potential of that fire axis, which feeds on ego, is completely neutralized. It becomes coolness and safety. And this points to a core principle. By surrendering attachment, you fundamentally change the physics of how you interact with this cosmic system.
All of this brings us to the ultimate objective of the entire framework. What is the final product this whole cosmic system is designed to produce? The answer is final purification.
The ultimate goal is to reach a state of zero. Now, this isn't about literal physical mass. We're talking about a spiritual mass of zero. It's a state where the self has been fully purified of all the corrupting attachments, the ego, the pride, all the things that give it weight inside the system.
And how is this state achieved? By perfectly balancing those three fields within the self. It means recognizing divine command without twisting it. It means not claiming divine mercy as your own personal possession. And it means willingly surrendering your attachment to the earthly buffer.
Once this cycle of purification is complete, reality enters what's called its final state. The book, the al-Kitab, the very source code of reality, becomes the direct driver. The stone, a purified witness or discriminator, confirms this state. The individual host becomes a perfected, hidden vessel. And every single purified self naturally moves toward the ultimate proof of concept for this state, the Isa form, which represents humanity in perfect alignment with the cosmic blueprint.
This entire blueprint, from the vast cosmic fields down to the final purification of the self, ultimately leads not to a description, but to a prescription. The analysis shifts from the abstract to the intensely personal. It culminates in a final, mandated question. When will you activate 1912 and become the book?